as the news posted it today. Hey, Tiffany. So what are my thoughts? Just like Joe said, there is a lot of things in the Appalachian that you just you're not going to be able to get into. The problem that we're having with the Wynter Wagnor is that the property that you have to go on to through private property. And you've got to obtain permission to go onto private property before you can get into the property. And just taking a drone out there is not possible because you cannot just go up on somebody's property and say, hey, I'm going to fly this drone over your house. You have to obtain permissions for that. And when you're in and you're dealing with the Appalachian Trail, it's impossible. We can't just go out there and intrude somebody's privacy and their rights without having to get those permissions. And it makes it a little difficult for us. I do know that, there are some things that are not being shared currently regarding Wynter Wagnor. The foster dad will not grant permission at all. He does not want civilians out there. He will not let civilians out there. And in order to get to the property, you have to get permissions to go from private property because that's private property. I don't have the medium's video from last night, but I am going to ask her to download it so I can get that video because that was quite interesting. There's somebody outside. Hold on, guys. I don't know what's going on. You guys hear that my dog's barking. There is somebody here, so hang on, guys. Give me just a second. Let me get into that. Sorry about that, guys. That was my mom as she stopped by real quick before she heads to her house. She'll be back later to eat dinner because I am cooking dinner. Hi. Nala Grace, what's the ordeal? You hear my dog, she's pissed.
What was that, babe?
Mama, I was hoping and praying that she is one of the children found, to be honest. Foster dad, and I'm going to be honest, I think there is a couple of places, like, I feel like some other people were almost planted for distraction, kind of like Becca's story. To kind of make us be like, well, who the hell's this person and what the hell's this? Yeah, And, I would be happy to speak with the foster dad, but he's not talking at all. He's not giving us any insight. He's not anything. He's not allowing people on the property. And like I said, if we start a search, the problem is the danger of people going missing themselves. The danger of falling in a 300-foot sinkhole out there. Just like Joe said, Joe is local. He lives a mile from where Wynter went missing. And he himself said he does not go out in those woods because of that. However, getting the permission on the road, protesting, we also have to get permissions to certain parts of that because some of that road is private land and private property. And in order to get in there to where we need to search, you have to go through private property. And he's allowing nobody and nothing to go in there. And if we can't go in there, how are we going to search that area? But we are working on trying to get them to search that area. So is Kyler 2 hours away. I haven't seen evidence of that. I haven't seen any of that myself. So I cannot personally say. Hi, everybody. You getting dinner prepared? I'm cooking too, but it's got to cook for a little while. So I figured I would come on here with you guys. So all of you guys have actually heard the interview, right? The kitchen faced to the front of the property. So you have the front of the property. It's right there by the front. So you would be able to, but it enables. So you haven't seen the interview with foster dad when he first spoke. Okay, I can play that. Give me just a second to get my YouTube up and you guys can hear some of the things that he says. Like, a lot of people missed certain segments of it. Now that we're re-reviewing it, my personal opinion, I'm leaning towards other things and other after the shitstorm. And we all know that we have a shitstorm in the beginning of anything like this. But I just don't feel that she left there accordingly. I just don't. Hi, Mind of Monsters. I just don't feel that she would, and I'm hearing speculation. Now, this is, somebody said that the Johnny joined the live the other night and said that she had left with a backpack and some clothes. I don't know that to be a fact. I have not confirmed that anywhere. So there has been no confirmation that she had clothes or a backpack in any of this.
Wynter was first reported missing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I personally have questions on how do you not know what she was wearing, especially if you were with her that day. Yeah, so Mind of Monsters, Dana brought it up earlier on the live with Tree. And Tree, Nola Grace, honey. Tree had said, so Johnny, the cousin, was in a live the other night with Tree and them and said that she had left with the backpack and a couple pairs of clothes was missing. And if that's the case, then that changes my whole perspective. Thank you, Lex, baby. But I have not confirmed that. Like, that's something I have not confirmed at all. Nola Grace. My dog is trying to block the phone so I can't see your guys' comments because she's like, pay attention to me. We don't know that she ever left. So Johnny the cousin, Dana brought up a good point today. Said Johnny the cousin had said that she had left with clothing. Like a little backpack. Nobody knows that. That's unconfirmed. Hey, Helen. Yeah, so that's an unconfirmed source. Yes, but the dad's saying she didn't leave with nothing. So I don't know. There's a lot of conflicting stories. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking, my God, like, in the scenarios playing out in my head, this could be 3 different scenarios, right? Like, she either A, she left with somebody, B, she walked out, got a ride, and somebody did take her to Florida, or C, something happened to her in that area, and nobody's telling us about it. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody is,
Hey, love.
Hey, love. Because you think about this, like, in your head, the highest scenario, like, we don't know if she left with clothes. We don't know, anything. Basically, all we know is she left that house. And that was only confirmed by the foster parents' voice. Well, we also heard from the same people, such as Courtney, that said the same thing. And look what happened. You know what I mean? Like, we can't always, like, I'm not following, and I have some contradicting things from the foster dad that I just have questions pertaining to.
Yeah, when I was digging into it too from the Johnny source, it was the foster dad told Johnny this. So the fact it's changing adds questions.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Dora, I do know what she was wearing.
Do you know what she was wearing that day?
Yeah. Yes. When she was last seen, she was wearing a hoodie. They were unsure of the color of the hoodie, a black pair of leggings, and Converse shoes. But there's never been any mention of a backpack.
Well, now the foster dad is saying she left with a backpack.
I've never heard that about a backpack. And I have questions for him to start with, so take it with a grain of salt. Anything that comes out of him until, you know what I mean, until law enforcement
Exactly. He's telling the cousin that there was a couple articles of clothing missing in a backpack.
Why the cousin, not bio dad?
Yeah, and I wonder if you told law enforcement.
Right. I mean, I have so many questions right now that I'm just like, wait a freaking minute.
Oh, it's probably mine. Sorry. I don't know what's going on with my little mini mics. The ones that are supposed to be noise canceling, they started messing up last night. I had to use my boom mic.
Girl, it's so loud here too. But listen, y'all gonna have to deal with it. I love y'all, but
It's the holidays. We get a little bit of a leeway.
These were phenomenal when I first got them. Like, you couldn't hear anything in the background. You couldn't hear, my old man snoring at night or nothing. And all of a sudden, I don't know, they haven't got wet or anything. I don't know what's going on with them.
so
No,
here's Taylor.
speaking about this backpack, I think we should try to find Johnny and see if he can describe the backpack.
Taylor says, I'm Winter's second cousin. From the very beginning, I've heard that she left with a backpack with $15. But I think that's a minor, guys. We cannot have her up on a panel. What's up, Kay?
What is she going to do? Even if she did take a backpack with $15, what would she get with $15?
In time, she's not going to get much. Something to drink and a bag of chips. It's sure not going to get her to Florida.
Yeah. I'm gonna take it.
Think it's been 2 months.
Hey, love.
Hey, guys. Hey, girl. What's up? We're just now talking about the contradicting stories of Winter's foster dad.
Gotcha. I just got done hanging out with a bunch of first graders at a
How
Christmas
was
party.
that?
Chaotic.
That sounds like fun.
It was fun. It was very cute. It was a good little Christmas party, but my my anxiety is legit through the roof. I'm so overstimulated.
Blame me, love.
It was cute.
Another point, when the McCoys interviewed him, he was so open with information. In my mind, why didn't he mention the backpack? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And he now refuses. He will not let us come there. Because I even asked the family to talk to him and see if he would let us come there. Nope, absolutely not. It was a direct no. Nobody is to be on the property. And why is that?
It beats me, girl. Like I said, in the very beginning.
Like, I understand that people are at a fall risk. You have sinkholes that are 200 feet deep. And you have a risk of people going missing themselves. However, nobody is trying to go into those woods at a certain hour. Nobody is trying to do any of that. We're just simply wanting to check the pond area, check the open places there to start off. And how is it that you're not open to allowing that? And last night, Mind of Monsters, if you didn't hear the reading from the young lady, she said, Miss Deb, she said that she pictured a man in a checkered shirt, like a, you know what I'm talking about? It's almost like a button up. You know how they have them with the little pockets on the front for men that are.
Yeah, like a flannel.
Yes, like a plaid. She mentioned a plaid shirt with with shorts. Well, come to find out, Wynn said the weekend after Winter disappeared on Saturday. Hey, Joe. After she had disappeared, he was sitting in the thicket by the road, and when people passed by there, he pulled his hat down.
Well, that's strange.
And he was in a checkered shirt and shorts. The foster dad. Now, I do know that the foster dad is big into church. He is a... They are big within the church. Also, we don't know about this cell phone. And we don't know if a call was made or not, or if someone else made the call. Because if you are not aware of your child having a burner phone, you're not going to know that it operates off of Wi-Fi, right? If your child has a burner phone and they're sneaking it from you, you're not going to know details regarding the phone. No. And see, Joe said we don't know for sure that she even made it home from her counseling session. So correct, that's not it. The only thing that we know is word of mouth by foster dad saying that they came home that evening and they were cooking dinner. They were going to go up to the pond area. Thank you, guys. We were going up to the pond area to go look at the pond and things like that, like they normally did on their walks. And when they came back, Wynter wasn't there. Foster mom's not talking either.
They shut down in the very beginning. Like, in the very beginning, they shut down. And just recently, I would say within the past month, they've made their FBs private, because in the beginning, those were not private. You were able to see photos, and they didn't have very many friends on either one of them, which is neither here nor there, but you were able to still see their FB pages in the beginning. But like I said, the foster parents were people searching to start with, because when she first went missing, I offered to fly up there, which, I come up there 2 times a year anyway. We had just got home a few months before, but that didn't matter. And I offered to help search, but the searches that were done were kept very small searches, and they weren't made public. Like, I knew about them because I was talking to people in the background, but not, it wasn't something that just was blasted on the news or, anything like that. Not even in the FB groups.
Right. And Joe here, that's in the box. Joe, he lives a mile from them. A mile.
It's been phenomenal.
He's been working with law enforcement. If he receives a tip or if he thinks something's weird, he reports it. It's odd to me is we don't know for sure if she actually showed back up at home from therapy. Anything could have happened.
Exactly.
Did she get dropped off on the side of the interstate? Hey, Steph.
Thankful for the McCoys, that we have that interview, because if it wasn't for them, it would, to this day, it would still be crickets from the last people that saw Wynter.
Yes.
That we can physically confirm.
My thing is, if that kitchen's off the road and it's facing the road, the way that Joe was describing today, that he could tell who was coming on the road at any time, but foster mom didn't.
Exactly. It's odd to me from the aerial when you're looking at it. Steph, I don't know if it was in If it's the Center for Children, there is a children's center that is attached to Rockcastle County Hospital. There is a children's therapy located inside of there, and that's all the way across town. That would take about 15 minutes to get to from her house. And stuff like they're even saying, the problem that everybody's running into is the fact that he's not cooperating. He's not allowing no civilians out there. He's not allowing nothing. And in order to get to that property, you have to go through private property to get there to search. Is foster parents' houses in the country? Absolutely. And that's the issue we're running into, Steph, because of course we can't just go onto their property without special permissions from law enforcement, or because we're not here to do any of that. We're here to cooperate with them and say, hey, if we're willing to come search, can we search here? Can this be a starting point? But he's not allowing that, and he has that say so. He has all authority to say so because that is his property. And if he doesn't want anybody there, we can't go there and search. And if you protest, another thing, just like Joe described earlier, the protest, we have to get permissions too, because the road that leads up to there and that road going to his house is also private property. Half of it is private property and half of it is localed. That's free to the public.
Yeah, that's what I was asking earlier.
So you have to check and see if the road in front of his portion is private property. And Joe even said, because Joe lives a mile up the road from him, and Joe said that even to get to where we would need to search, it is all private property. And that's the issue we're having. The real dad can't get permission, no. It would have to be the landowners giving permission.
My question is, why would he report her missing so quickly without searching? That's all.
Well, see, there's things with the timeline that don't make sense to me either, but there's a couple things that they're not releasing, that they're not telling us because they obviously know.
Right.
The timeline of events from coming home to disappearing doesn't make sense to me.
Me either. And getting rid of her stuff. I hear that they took her stuff already.
They did. So I have confirmed.
Yeah.
And I have confirmed that with a close relative that has been out there that also the foster family talks to. They have removed every bit of her belongings and taken them to CPS.
Wow. You think it's just because they're just over it? You think she just ran away a lot?
So her belongings are not in their care. They're with CPS. So there are some things that she is not welcome back there. Correct. He said she is not welcome back there if she's found. She's not to come back.
That just doesn't seem.
I'm sorry, what?
Correct.
What?
Correct. He has gave up the rights to her. So if she is found, she goes back into the custody of CPS.
Unbelievable. And that just goes to show that they're not doing this for the right reasons. I'm
Correct.
sorry, but if I was fostering a kid, never in a million years would I be like, you're not welcome back here. Are you joking? Especially if they're missing. Like what?
Correct. They did.
That makes me mad. That makes me real mad.
They removed her stuff and gave it back to CPS, including her phone, and said that she is not welcomed back.
So for what did they say the reasoning was?
She's a troubled child.
She's a troubled child. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm done. I'm just done. I can't. I can't. Yeah, that's your job as a foster parent, is to love the child as your own and to make them not troubled anymore, to help them, to be there for them, to help give them a safe space, not to literally sit there and go, you're a troubled child, I don't want you anymore. Like,
Correct.
what in the absolute fuck? Are you kidding me right now? That shit makes me so mad.
And
Right there.
the day that she went missing, he was talking to Wynn, which is a neighbor.
But it's a
Wynn
money
is-
grab system. Sorry.
Yes.
Just go ahead.
And
I'm sorry.
No, Wynn's nephew was at the barn talking to him, because remember when he said they went for a walk up to the pond at the barn, Wynn's nephew was there talking to him, and all he was talking about is how he was saying a lot of negative things about Wynter. That's like within minutes before her going missing.
Someone just said in the comments something about her stealing $100. Was that ever confirmed? Was the question. And
No.
and I get that they're asking that. I get Hot Mess Gesture, you're asking the question, and I don't know. And Dora just said that it hasn't been confirmed. But here's the other thing with that. Again, these are children. Children do stupid shit. You don't just go, here, CPS, take this kid back because they stole $100 from me. Like, what in the actual? Are you kidding me?
Right. And I am over here like, but yeah, they said that if she is located, she is not welcomed back into their home. But he has her 2 other siblings.
I can't.
And he didn't give the clothes back or do any of that until after she come missing, even
Correct.
though supposedly she was so much trouble the whole time he had her.
Correct.
And didn't she? How many times did she run off before? Like 2 or 3 times
No, once in his care.
in his
Once.
care. So once, okay.
Yes, and it was a month or so prior. She only made it a mile, and she called her dad's mother to come and get her, that she was going to meet them at the Shell station. That is my understanding, is that when she called Dusty's mom, she just said, come and get me. And they told her no, that they couldn't because they don't have the authority to come and get her, that she needed to go back to the house. And she went back to the house.
There's a reason why she's leaving, I feel like. I just find it suspicious with the foster parents. I just do.
Yeah, and they're saying that Wynter did steal money, but I have not confirmed that. And Steph's in here. Somebody said that he showed Steph or told Steph there's proof. I don't know. I haven't seen that proof, and I'm sure Steph hasn't either, because the foster parents are not cooperating. They're not talking. They're not giving any permissions to come onto their property to search. They're not doing anything. Steph confirmed she hasn't seen it either. So the biggest question is over all of this, like, I do know that if she is found, she is not welcome back into their home. All of her belongings are with CPS, including the phone that she had that was taken from her for bad behavior, and she was working it off.
Where would she go? Like, if she was found, where would she end up going?
Hold on. Everyone's asking, can't the cops serve the foster parents with a warrant to search the property? So there has to be probable cause. There can't just be reasonable suspicion for a warrant. There has to be probable cause. Yes, there is a missing child, which in my opinion could fall under exigent circumstances, but they would have to be able to point that this is not a runaway and that there is something exigent or some sort of imminent danger that bypasses that Fourth Amendment protection. So right now, because they're not cooperating, there's not enough in order for them to obtain that warrant.
According
Correct.
to Haley, which is Summer's aunt on the biological side, that first initial search where they had the dogs and then the drones and
They did search the
all
property.
that they did search the property. And that's according to Haley.
That was
And
not
as
like
far
all
as-
of the property. It was only the inside of the house and around the house.
right.
Dora, I'm
The
gonna
wood-
jump down so I can
Those
get to
woods is what needs to be searched. Those woods, those hills is what needs to be searched. The areas.
Correct. And next week
I don't
would
care
be
if they brought
perfect
the
timing for them to go out there.
The feds and all of them in there. They needed a huge, a couple hundred people up there searching, doing grid searches, in my opinion, instead of, fish and game and KSP and,
Yes.
a couple of counties,
So Joe is saying the woods
But
and
as
the
far
caves
as
have been
the money
searched.
that was stolen, all of the all 80 acre or 80 to 100 acres, Joe? Because Haley never spoke on how much of it was searched. And the law
Yeah, they're
enforcement
saying
hasn't told anything. Their press
probably the
release
ones that,
specifically says they're not going to say.
and it's probably only the woods behind there. Joe lives a mile from them, Chastity.
So everyone's asking, or someone just asked me, what can we do or who can we call in order to make noise about this? Let me ask a question only because I've just been in here intermittently. You guys have been on top of this, so I haven't really dove into it as much. It sounds to me like the police have been searching. Or where is that in your guys' opinion failing?
Right. Like it sounds like that they have and they have to follow up on leads. I just don't think there's any really prominent leads that is leading them
Right.
to get probable cause. And like I said, though, Kristen, earlier, they have to find probable cause to allow us to go in there and search the pond or whatever that he owns.
And I say this, you guys know this, but just for the people in the chat, I say this all the time, we have to remember our system is set up to protect the innocent, not the guilty. And so they're not going to violate those Fourth Amendment search and seizure protections that we are afforded, right? Especially on property, especially in a home and things like that without that probable cause. They're playing it smart. They're not saying a whole lot. And when you're not talking and you're exercising your Fifth Amendment right, you're not giving them enough to be able to say, wait a minute, so-and-so said this or so-and-so said that, you know what I mean? And so that's the hardest thing is they're going to have to prove that there's some sort of exigent circumstance. And yes, there's a missing kid, but unfortunately a missing kid is not enough of an exigent circumstance, especially at that age, in order to, or with the foster parents or even CPS possibly saying, again, quote unquote, she's a troubled child. Now, again, I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying when these comments are being made, very unfortunately, especially when it's a child in the system, they're going to treat it as a runaway almost every single time. And that's the hard part. The medium that works with law enforcement, they can for investigative purposes, but they can't use something that the medium says in order to obtain probable cause. So if that's what if that's kind of what you're hinting at, that's not going to work either, unfortunately.
Yes, exactly. Like you can't, unfortunately, it's a matter of, okay, well, she ran away. They're treating it as a runaway. It's not going to be treated otherwise, like Kristen said, because they have to find probable cause. And if they don't see an exit for probable cause, they're not going to continue to keep going back and getting all these warrants to search. They have to obtain a warrant to be able to search that property. And again, we're running into so many issues also because us civilians can't go out there on that property because it is private property. And in order to get to where you need to go search, it is private property. Also, half of the road is private property. Certain portions of the road is private property. So it's those types of things that we're running into.
And
that
guys
is
know
causing issues.
And signatures for a search that doesn't. So let me explain what probable cause is. So probable cause is a reasonable belief. It's still higher than reasonable suspicion, but it's a reasonable belief that a crime has occurred or that evidence of a crime is present in the location that is to be searched. They have to be able to state the person to be searched or the place to be searched and exactly what it is that they're looking for. And they cannot deviate outside of the four corners of that warrant. If they say, hey, we think that there's a pew-pew in this closet, in this room, in this home, they can only go in that room, in that home, in that closet and get that pew-pew, right? Now, you can obtain what is called a blanket warrant if there is enough, again, to justify that. But it's, again, probable cause. You have to be able to specify what evidence you're looking for and where it's present at or where you believe it's present at. And then you have to have something or some sort of a fact that is your supporting fact in order to go to a judge and say, hey, this. And again, in cases like this, I get it's emotionally triggered, but you also have to put yourself in the situation. What if, and this happens all the time, what if you were the person who had, let's say somebody said, oh, out of nowhere, you kidnapped this person, you unalived this person, or you did this. And you're like, wait a minute, no, I didn't. And then you get individuals that walk in your house in something that's politically motivated, or in this situation where the public is raising a huge stink about it, they're going to be like, anything we find, we're going to point in that direction just so we can close this case. Literally, guys, they do it all the time. All the time.
Correct. Like, I can't just make a call and say, Kristen has this person inside her home, and them just barge up in her home.
Well, and there's a lot of people in the comments saying they could search everything I own. I wouldn't care. Guys, you say that. I'm telling you, you say that. I do this day in and day out, and I've done it day in and day out for the last almost 21 years. It'll be 21 years in February. And I'm telling you right now, you say that until they literally come in and they plant something, which happens every single day in this country, or they come in and they talk to somebody in your family and then they misconstrue what was said, or the telephone game starts getting played. I watched body camera footage just today, just this morning, where one officer literally asked an individual, did you know where it was a family court case? Did you know where your child was? And she's literally like, no, the other officer said that she was over here, type of situation, and she went with the dad and blah blah, and she literally explained the whole thing. And then he went over to the other officer right after she said all this, and it's on camera, by the way, went over to the other officer and said she said that she knew where her child was the whole entire time, when she literally said, no, the only reason why I knew where my child was because the other officer rang my doorbell and said that the kid went to the dad's house. They will make up stuff, guys, all the time. And so you say that you're okay with that until you are put in the position, and then you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have let them talk to me. I shouldn't have let them search my house. When you can say you have nothing to hide all you want, and we want to believe that they're going to do the right thing, but knowing that there's a possibility that they wouldn't is why you don't take that chance.
Yep, correct.
And I get you guys are saying this is not just one of us. This is a child that was in foster care that just went missing. They're still one of us. They're still a person. Like what I'm going to tell you right now, look at the statistics. Look at a parent who unalives their child, or a parent who abuses or neglects their child, what they are end up being charged with. And then go and look at a foster parent and what they end up getting charged with, and look at the difference. A parent of a child will always get a harsher sentence, a harsher punishment, a harsher anything than a foster family will. There was that case that just happened with God, I'm not going to remember the name off the top of my head, but you can look it up. It was the husband and the wife, and literally that we're talking couple years that they got.
Yes.
For literally neglecting and abusing a child, severely neglecting and abusing a child, locking them in a cage, all of the things. But because it was a foster family and it wasn't their own child, they literally, the government will protect someone that is contracted with the government in order to watch a child that was in their custody, because they're the ones that gave the child to them.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kristen, while you're on that topic, I had a question about that. I used to do social work, and I was like a guardian of elderly people and payee, that kind of thing. My question is in regards to this, and what are their rights and like people searching's rights? I'm asking in regards to her being a ward of the state. Mm-hmm. Does that change the circumstances for that?
No, they're still protected under the Fourth Amendment regardless. No matter what.
That's what I want, because I know, like, say for example, a social worker wanted to go do a visit.
They can do that.
That's what I was going to say. They don't necessarily have to announce that. So that's why I wondered if it changed for this scenario.
Well, you would have to look at what is in place. So usually when a child's been given over to a foster family, there's some sort of a court order that says that they do telephone visits, or they can do in-home visits. And they will usually call them and say, and give them some sort of a, hey, we're going to be stopping by, whatever. I will tell you, it's more normal for them to go and check up on a child in the custody of their own parents during a TAPA agreement or some sort of temporary alternative placement agreement or something like that, right? Or when reunification is happening, than it is for them to go show up and check up on the child when they're in a foster home.
Thank you. That was my only question in regards to her being a ward of the state, not necessarily, property of the foster parents, if that changed it. Thank you for
And
answering.
and again, I'm not agreeing with any of this whatsoever. I'm just letting you know that the system's broken. The system is broken. These kids are not protected the way that they should. And again, the system is structured, the justice system is structured to protect the innocent, not the guilty. And so it's in place because, like I say all the time, it's better for one guilty person to walk free than one innocent person to be behind bars. And that's how it's set up. It's set up to prevent innocent people from being convicted. Although it happens every single day and they're railroaded through the system every single day. Again, that's just how it happens. See, someone just said, I was in a foster home for 5 years and never once did they come to our home. It is very, very rare for them to go and check up on the children that are in a foster home, which is why they get away with so much.
And I'll disagree with that a little bit. I believe that it's what state you're in, because when I was a foster care parent in South Dakota, so when we first get a foster kid in custody, the social worker has to come in within 24 hours to see the child after their first day, and then it's weekly for a month, and then it's monthly. But they tell us and schedule a time for them to come. They don't ever just, hi, how are you?
Well, that's every policy for every state. The policy says that for every state. It doesn't mean that they do it. That's my point.
Right.
Is that the policy is the policy is always, their internal policies and procedures are always going to say, hey, we're supposed to do this. Just like the laws say, hey, we're supposed to do this, that doesn't mean that that's what they're abiding by. And it's also going to depend on who the agent is. I just talked to someone else who's a forensic, I don't know if she's in here or not, but she's a forensic psychologist. And she literally told me a story where she was like, these individuals would literally sit around at a table and joke and try to pass off these cases to other counties so they didn't have to deal with it.
Right. And I agree with that. And on top of that, like for our quote unquote visits, sometimes they'll do it right over the phone if they're so busy.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on you. Sometimes you're going to get a worker that absolutely unequivocally does their job by the book, like they're supposed to. And that's great, right? It's just like with any other, it's just like with anything else that, you're going to have the good and the bad. Unfortunately, though, I see more bad than I do good, especially when it comes to family court and CPS. It's very, 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 very backwards, very, 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 very corrupt. And it's a money-based system, and there's a lot of reform that needs to happen.
And that I can totally agree with.
There needs to be more structural laws and more checking in as far as like employees when it comes to that, because they're not all going to abide by exactly the rule book.
And like when I went through my classes and everything, I could literally sit around that table and point out exactly who was there for the right cause and who was there for the money or to get a child just to work on their place. You could see exactly who they were and who they weren't. My husband and I were sick. There was only like one other couple that was there for the right reason.
Oh,
like
here
I
comes
told
Malibu Dallas.
Like I told 90% of the people, what I did with my monthly check, which wasn't worth, anything. It's supposed to just help out. Well, I opened a savings account that they can't touch until they're 21 years old, and it's locked down. Like her mom can't touch her or nothing, and that's where all that money went.
Yeah,
Hi, Dallas.